Thank you for being here. I wanted to do a little medicine, singing medicine, drumming medicine. Haven't done one of these videos for quite some time. And I felt like my body needed it. There's something about like singing that, like the vocal toning, that really regulates my nervous system. And you should try it. You should try it. You can do humming, just humming. Simply that, holding that, and then breathing and connecting to your body. Last time I shared a passage from a book, so I thought I'll continue this practice and sharing that with you, starting with a little bit of healing music and then picking a little small passage from a book that I'm reading. This is The Mountain Is You. Pretty good book. A lot of insightful, a lot of insights, an insightful way of, perceiving the world that I like. I like the way the author explains things. But I think a lot of the readings I've been doing recently has been a lot about the mind, working with the mind. I think recently I had shared a little quote that came to me about how to master the external world. Like, we think that it starts with like putting our attention to everything that's happening outside of us, right? To control things, to keep things in order, to keep on top of things. But then for me, the more I do that, what I'm learning, and I'm always learning and growing, we all are, is that the more I do that, the more out of control I feel, if that makes sense. It's like, it's an illusion, really, I think a leakage of our energy and our life force, when we can be using it and directing it inward. I've noticed that when I am struggling with stress or like something, sorry, I'm gonna change my position here. My feet are hurting. When I am stressed out, the more I focus on the external, like I feel like then that kind of really throws me off. And then it's always about trying to get back to this homeostasis, right? Like when I feel calm inside and I feel safe and I'm able to regulate myself emotionally, energetically, then that really helps me impact the world around me and like act in an intentional way. And we can't always do that, right? Because I think we get dysregulated and stressed out, or something triggers us, and then we kind of we react. And sometimes we react out of old conditioning, learned behavior, right? Learned coping skills that were probably coming from a place of trying to survive, like trying to adapt and kind of get through it all. And so we take on these different roles and habits of interacting or moving in the world, you know, relationally and in all kinds of ways, and that doesn't really serve us. And eventually, you know, it gets to a point where it's doesn't really help anymore, right? I think as we grow too, and our awareness grows, and we're able to go inward and be honest with ourselves, and we're able to look at these things and try to shift them and change them. But anyway, working with the mind. So to master the world outside of us, we have to first find mastery of our internal state, right, in our mind. So here. So this is from, what chapter is this from? This is from Building Emotional Intelligence. Okay, this is chapter 4. So your mind is constantly filtering and bringing to your attention information and stimuli that affirm your pre-existing beliefs, right? Because that is a filter. It creates a filter of how you're going to interpret and perceive things, right, outside of you. They're based on memories and beliefs that you've kind of conjured up and created based on your experiences, right? So you're constantly filtering and bringing your attention to information and stimuli that affirm your pre-existing beliefs. So that in psychology is called confirmation biases. We all have biases. That's why it's good to take time to self-reflect, right? In any given situation, is to stay open to other perspectives and all kinds of different sources of information, and not only rely on what you think is, you know, your own beliefs, you know, because there's a lot of other nuances going on, right? When it comes to truth and navigating life, which is complex. So as well as presenting you, so it also presents you with repeated thoughts and impulses that mimic and mirror what you've done in the past, right? Again, it's like this habitual, you know, automatic, reactive kind of way of experiencing life. And so your subconscious mind is the gatekeeper of your comfort zone. And we all know, right? We all kind of linger around in our comfort zones for some time, and it's different for everyone. There's no right or wrong timeline. There's no like right or wrong way to, you know, to get there, to do it, or to get beyond your comfort zone. I think it's individual, and it's a case-by-case basis, and it just, you know, there's so many factors involved. But again, we get to this place almost like we hit this kind of, we have these crises, or we hit these roadblocks in order to work through them, you know, and to kind of get out of our comfort zones, right? It's like these are the challenges that kind of help us grow and expand. It also says here, what this teaches us is that when we are going through a healing or changing process in our lives, we have to allow our bodies to adjust to their new sense of normalcy. This is why all change, no matter how good, will be uncomfortable until it is also familiar. This is also why we can get stuck in self-destructive habits and cycles. Even though they feel good, that does not mean they are good for us. We have to use our minds to practice discernment. We have to use our supreme intelligence to decide where we want to go, who we want to be, and then we have to allow our bodies to adjust over time. Yeah, because it's one thing to want something, right? To desire something, to want to create something or manifest something in your life, right? But then your body has to kind of also, you can't only achieve that using your mind, right? Like you have to also feel it in your body that you're deserving of that. You know, you have to align your whole self, your mind, your body, your soul, your heart, in order to really connect with that intention. And so sometimes our body, it takes a little bit, especially with people who have, who have experienced trauma. I myself have experienced trauma and have complex PTSD and then other things that go on. And so that is, right, kind of this conditioning, because it does change the way your brain kind of functions. And it kind of distorts the way you perceive things. And so you do get caught in these like mental, they said here, these mental loops, repeated thoughts and impulses that mimic and mirror what you've done in the past. Almost like you get stuck in these loops because that's all you've known, right? And the mind will keep you there running like in a hamster wheel forever. So that's why we need to kind of just observe the mind, and always kind of witness the thoughts. That's why meditation, at least for me, has been helpful, and journaling, because it helps me really look and review and reflect my thoughts and my feelings. Because then, I've mentioned this in one of the readings where, because I'm reading this book for school for psychology, and it's like the way it works is that our mind, first it starts with a thought, right? You have a thought, maybe you're worrying about something, right? And then that thought gets translated into a feeling, into an emotion, right? Then you're worrying about something, all of a sudden you're feeling, kind of anxious, or like, there's physiological things that happen in your body. You can start maybe feeling your heart racing, or you feel tense, your body tenses up. And then eventually it turns into either like a habit, a behavior, a habit that's attached to some sort of habit, like, and you repeat that over and over. So maybe one of your old coping skills when you would start worrying would be, I don't know, what is something that I've done? I don't know, I just get stuck worrying over and over again. I think I tried solving the problem with my mind, right? Like problem solving, and I kind of find myself kind of just going around in circles. And so sometimes it's called ruminating. You ruminate and you kind of get stuck in this loop. Do you think that you're being constructive in like thinking, analyzing, overthinking things, right? Like, oh, let me just think about every single aspect of every single probability and every single, angle that I can, but it's really, it's an illusion of control. And once we surrender, I've noticed once I just let it go, even if I'm faced with an issue, if I'm able to make room and space to just sit with it, to give myself a little time before just running into problem solving mode, or like, trying to like save the day, or trying to figure out, because there's a lot of things that we don't really have control over. I mean, we barely have, I don't like using the word control, but we barely have like, the awareness of ourselves to even try to like, right, like change the way we react to things. It takes time, it takes practice, it takes awareness. And to be aware, you have to be present. You have to be present with yourself. You have to be present with everything that is going on around you. Like, another thing that I'm also kind of learning slowly is that as open-minded as I've always thought I've been, like open, and again, kind of tying back to these biases that we all have, maybe unconsciously, is that I always unknowingly had these expectations around things. So I was already projecting my own expectations and, and people have to kind of fit these expectations or these, this framework that I've created about how things should work. And it's just not like that, right? It's not like that at all. And I think that came from a need to create safety, right? Like if I could if everything can kind of fit this thing that I'm familiar with, that makes me feel comfortable, right? That state keeps me in this comfort zone, then everything's gonna be okay, right? And it's just not like that. The world is not like that. And again, there's this idea of surrendering, this need for control. Instead of control, I think it's better to just replace that with awareness, to try to always be aware and present. And that in itself is a challenge, and it takes a lot of practice. And that's why people do a lot of activities like meditation or mindfulness practices, or to get out of these loops. And then you start seeing these loops happening, and you're not caught in them, and you're kind of like as this outsider looking in, and you're like, wow, you're able to see it from a different vantage point, which kind of connects to the title of the book, The Mountain Is You, right? The mountain that you're climbing, mountains are always used as this, the spiritual metaphor for these, long pilgrimage that we all kind of go on. And we have to go up to this, right? We go up to this mountain to kind of find ourselves, or to find the thing that we're looking for. And then when we get up to the mountain, we finally, can see, we have this realization, this revelation. And then what we're supposed to do is then walk back down the mountain, so that we could share that experience, that knowledge, that story, right? That journey with others. And then, we each are, we are our own mountain. And so it's this like this symbol for this like internal, this inward journey that we're doing. And even if you think of the chakras, right, like we're working our way up to then connect to something greater, whatever that is for you, something greater, whether it be, your creativity, your wisdom, your higher consciousness, connecting to that, and whatever other forces you believe in, whether that be, nature, or some other higher power, whatever you might define that or call that. And just sit outside and among the trees and among all the beautiful creatures of nature, and it's pretty amazing what you can learn from that, But anyway, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, thank you for joining me.